Hear ye, gather round. No, it's your boy Antonio, aka Chris the Lord, with another message from the stars. So I am on the move today. I'm in a hotel right now, so I am kind of doing this pretty quick. But first thing I wanted to say was I hope everyone's having a great day, and thanks for watching. Go ahead and like if you like it. Let me know. So I added up all the numbers today. 17. Okay, justice in the reverse. We got 13, truth and fairness in the reverse. Transformation, number 11 in the reverse. And 9 in the reverse, right? All added up to 14 basically at the end, which came down to the 5. That's where I got our messages from the numbers the universe is speaking to you. Okay, we're going to go with the vibration of 5, okay? The 5 vibration was something that I had to learn to love. Earlier on in my life, I was more rather controlling than I am now. And that's an understatement. As I processed and released the profound levels of anxiety that I carried with me for most of my childhood and young adulthood, I found that I didn't need to attempt to control life quite so much. And instead, I could learn to surrender and trust more, even if there were great changes taking place and I was being led into unfamiliar circumstances and surroundings. And I can really attest to that too. Um, it is very hard. I mean, I don't know about you guys right now listening or hearing this, but I'm definitely going through a life transformation in a few different ways that is really making me have to just trust the process of things, right? And I know that can be very hard, especially when extreme change happens, right? Maybe you didn't make the change. Maybe someone did something to you that forced you to have to change, right? Which can be even a little harder than making up our own mind on something when someone kind of forces a situation, right? But I just wanted to let you guys know that it's definitely saying to trust more. Right now, it sounds like we need to have trust. And by what's going on in these cards, I can definitely understand how it's hard to have trust in a situation, universe, or whatever it is right now. Other thing I noticed was 9/11, okay? Or 911, right? Which usually would be like something disastrous happening, right? Something of that nature. Maybe this is what someone wanted for you. Maybe this is what you wanted for somebody. But somebody out there, this sends like a lot of like envious, resentment, jealousy, hate. Like this is like a soap opera on my table right now going in. I'm not gonna lie. This is like some like Young and the Restless and stuff or something going on, right? Something else I noticed while we're jumping into this. 17, right? Justice is in the upright. It's actually my only one in the upright at the top here. And I noticed that there is a tear on the eye. And I looked at this card so many times, never noticed a tear there. So maybe this justice that they're seeking or getting isn't working out the way they wanted to. I'm not saying, this doesn't seem like everything's going wrong because it's in the upright, right? But maybe this justice is either making somebody realize what they lost or what they had. Maybe it's the people it's affecting is why there's grief involved, right? Because when I really look at this, and I'll just, preface the rest of this, it really looks like somebody wanted some very negative things for someone else out there, and they were willing to do anything to get it. So when I see the crying under justice here, it makes me feel like the person who wanted all this, didn't want anyone to have any truth and fairness, didn't want anyone to change or become anything better or have more than them, didn't want them to be no stability, no equilibrium, So basically have this person out in the cold with nothing, right? So maybe this person's crying because the justice they sought or they thought they, deserved based on the situation wasn't given. And I can attest to that too. I kind of felt that way at some points in my life too. Like, some people had done things to me and there was really no justice, or at least maybe that I got to see, right? Because you're not with those people all the time. So who knows what someone's really going through, right? But then I got truth and fairness, 13. Okay. And this gave me like Friday the 13th vibes, right? Like somebody was like maybe lying, right? This is like giving me bully energy, right? Well, I can do what I want. I can do what I want. Maybe because they were being louder than you, right, with the trumpet here. Maybe they were making more noise than you. I know a lot of times when people are scared, you know what I mean? Or they don't want someone else to be heard, then they're going to be the loudest voice in the room, right? Okay, maybe you were talking to this person, and this would have been a type of person who, like, never let you get a word in, always wanted to speak over you, okay? Rejection, right? They wanted people hating you, and maybe you even hating yourself, right? A lot of times people tell lies and, like, my mom used to say that all the time, like, I lie so much, start believing your own lies, Like, this is a person who lied so much that maybe they believe the lies that they didn't tell themselves, right? Because this isn't giving me spiritual energy, right? This is giving me like three people here, right? This seems like this is all in this person's head. You know what I mean? Like, this is all in their head. You were never, maybe they said you were nothing. Maybe they said horrible things about you. And it's like, this is all in their head, right? Maybe this wasn't real at all. Transformation, right? Somebody wasn't, and this is the only card on the bottom of my trip. Oh, and it's like, this is so crazy, right? Justice, grief, impasse is the only card upright in this whole thing, right? So that's telling me for sure somebody wasn't willing to change, And then I'm getting these people, so maybe they linked up with somebody who was in that same nasty energy. And the sucky part about life, too, though, is what I find, too, right? Everybody thinks they're the biggest thing on the block until something bigger comes, right? This is giving me the energy of, maybe somebody who ended up going towards something dark. Maybe they got tempted by a jewel, like, I know flying monkeys, right? Monkeys like shiny stuff. Maybe they were tempted by something, and it turned out this person was maybe even worse than they were. Underworld vibes, you know what I mean? With Anubis there. Maybe this person dangled something in front of this person to lure them in, and maybe they're crying because they got a little justice, but they're suffering in silence with a lot of other stuff, okay? Maybe they got some little wins throughout this whole thing, but they're suffering in silence. I mean, this person's holding their animal, right? So they're not telling people about this, okay? But this is coming straight from the heart. But they're not talking because this thing is holding grief, but holding a dog, right? Instead of communicating that with other people or letting somebody know what they're going through. This person is struggling or suffering in silence for some kind of justice that they wanted or got and wasn't really what they wanted it to be, okay? And it looks like because there is a stalemate when it came time to change, right? Nobody wanted any truth or fairness. Maybe they didn't want to explain your story. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, this is weird. No truth and fairness, no transformation. Like, maybe they said you're a liar and you'll never change. You'll never have anything. You'll never be anything, This is what somebody was either telling people or they truly... And here's the thing, though. When people say things like spell work and stuff like that, people have to be careful because they don't mean someone actually like going and doing spells on people, right? When you speak, when you write the spelling words, right, you spell things out, okay? So you just talking negatively over someone's life is considered spell work, right? If a witch casts a spell, right? We all saw Hocus Pocus, right? They said something, right? They push energy towards somebody, okay? And lastly here, I got perception in the reverse. Okay, so this was like a false perception. This person couldn't see something. And I love how the green is here in the perception, and it's also here in grief. Okay? Maybe their perception about self-worth, right, was obscured, or skewered, my bad. But anyway, the complacency came out, so they're kind of sitting in that energy still. Nobody's moving. Maybe there's a stalemate here with this. But I'm going to catch you guys on the next ones. And prayers out to whoever this is and whatever this is, right? Until next time.